Many years ago, about the time I got into office, this country had experienced the Pentagon Papers, Watergate, and then came the OPEC oil embargo. With all of that in the 70s, there was not only economic stagnation, it came to be called stagflation, but an erosion of public confidence in government. And as an office holder in the 70s and 80s, I puzzled about this, how to regenerate public confidence in the government, in principally the government in Washington, but all government. And instead of being able to counter that tide, the tide got worse with the Reagan campaign in the 80s and the rise of the right-wing talk radio business. There was mounting anger against government, and we know where that has led us today. Now, those who were responsible for that made two arguments. One, local government is best, and two, private initiative is best. So if you put those two things together, it brings you to the doorstep of this initiative that you are mounting here. This is really local government. And if conservative people really want ordinary citizens to take back their lives, this is a great place to do it and a great chance to do it. So I pursued this idea of how do we get, in a mass democracy of 300 million people, how do we get people back involved? Empowerment. How do we empower ordinary Americans so they have a sense of ownership of their own destiny in a public sense? And being a theoretician, originally studied philosophy, I began to look at the distinction between a democracy and what our founders talked about, a republic. Now, I know everybody in this backyard knows what a republic is, but if you went to Denver or anywhere else, or for that matter, Washington, D.C., and stopped 10 people and asked them to define a republic, they couldn't do it. But if you read the history of the founding of this country, the founders didn't use the language of democracy, they used the language of the republic, dating back to ancient Athens and the Roman Republic. And the difference is this. I would assume a fair number of people here are members of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party is emphasized in the 20th century expansion of rights. Rights of minorities, civil rights, rights of women, all kinds of rights. But I got into public office because of a presidential campaign many years ago, 50 years ago, hard to believe, where a president said, ask what you can do for your country. That is about duty. Now, Democrats don't talk much about duty. Republicans don't at all. So the language of the republic isn't used much anymore. But ancient Athens and ancient Rome believed citizens had duties, and that you earned your rights by performance of your duties, meaning participation. Now, that's the backdrop of what brings us here this evening. What is more central to people's lives across the board than energy? So this is a cosmic question. People in Boulder like cosmic questions. This is a cosmic question. Who owns our lives? Who controls our lives? Is it big corporations or is it us? Now, you know this. I didn't know this. Ted told me there were 26 or 28? 29 communities in Colorado that have their own municipal power service. So I'm listening to public radio this morning, as I'm sure some of you were, and guess what? There was a story on the attraction of Colorado Springs to major corporations as a center for databases. And why does Walmart and a whole bunch of other companies want to locate their databases in Colorado Springs? A municipally owned power source, inexpensive energy. I see what you're doing here, what you're trying to do here, as a bit of a kind of fulfillment of local empowerment, citizen empowerment, taking back control of our lives. If you want to spend a couple minutes with Lee, she will tell you about how in the last major snowstorm, we did not get our power to our house restored for 5 days. And when we did, the people working for that I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Said they only followed instructions from the headquarters. Where's the headquarters? It's not in Colorado. It's in Minneapolis. And no one had told them to come to our community and restore power. And by the way, they were using cell phones that didn't really connect to the instruction center.
They didn't have cell phones, Gary.
They didn't have cell phones. We're not going to bring our personal beefs into this. This is an issue for Boulder. I know from years of experience, no community in the state is better able to govern itself than this one. And you will do the right thing on this issue. Thank you all very much.